Got it. I gotta put my friggin' eyeballs on, apparently.
Excuse me?
Hey, I can read it, too. Gotta put my eyeballs in.
Welcome to Two-Way Cops, Cops Supporting Gun Rights. Our hosts, Keith and Matt, have over 50 years combined experience as police officers serving in California. In this podcast, we'll talk about all things related to the Second Amendment from a cop's perspective and dispel the myth that cops are for over-the-top gun control. Welcome to Two-Way Cops. I'm Keith.
Where I'm at.
And today we're going to talk about the seizure of firearms by the police.
And
we're going to give you some hints on how to keep your guns from getting seized. Matt, what's the easiest way to do that?
Don't commit crimes while armed.
Exactly. So the biggest thing that we hear all the time is like, we'll see a social media post where somebody will be like, I just got red flagged and the cops took my guns.
After I did all this stuff, and it may or may not have been a crime, and then I refused to cooperate with the cops, and so they took my guns, and then they red flagged me.
Yes, and then everybody believes them. And everybody believes them because they use the term red flag, and everybody gets all hyped up over that, and they don't really look in between the lines to see, like, dude got arrested, or dude committed a crime, or he may have committed a crime, and it was taken as an implement of that crime.
Right.
Yes.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, it is funny. So all that what we're going to do is we're going to break down the most common ways that cops take guns from people, and it's not from confiscation. It's not from like some liberal left-wing crazy thing. It's because they committed a crime and the gun is evidence in the crime. So here are the big reasons why your gun's going to get seized by the police. You ready?
Give us number one, Keith.
Number one. Don't drink and drive while you're carrying a concealed weapon.
Yeah.
Basically, don't do any alcohol. Like, here's my favorite thing to talk about here. So, some states have a law that says you can't drink and be armed at the same time, but some states don't. Right. So, the thing I like to say is, if you live in a state where it doesn't say that you can't drink and have a gun at the same time, I like to tell people, well, it doesn't say you can't piss in the elevator, but you know you're not supposed to, right? Common sense comes into play.
And it's different than like having a beer or a glass of wine at dinner is one thing. Going to a bar and getting hammered is something totally different.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, if I go drinking with my friends and I know I'm going to be intoxicated, I don't bring a gun with me because I don't want the additional problems. Right? So here's the big thing. If you get arrested for drunk driving and you have a gun in your car, it may or may not be an extra crime. It just depends on what state you live in. But regardless, the gun can't come with you to jail. Matt, you worked in jail. Why can't the gun go to jail with them?
Federal law prevents firearms from being brought into a custody facility.
No shit, that's a federal law?
Yeah, at least in my recollection it was. If not, it was at least a state law. The deputies who work there, or the employees who work there, like at a prison, those guys have certain exemptions. We actually had some at the jail that we could use if a riot broke out as a jail deputy. However, I couldn't bring my own personal firearm into the secure side of the facility.
Exactly. So as a cop, when I
worked there.
Yeah. So when I bring a prisoner to the jail, I have to put my gun either in my trunk or in a locker, and then out on the outside of the jail, and then bring the prisoner in. You can't bring any weapons in at all. So what makes people think they're special, but they get to bring their gun in? Because Second Amendment, right?
Yeah.
The Second Amendment's important, but just like there's prohibitions on the, or not prohibitions, restrictions on the First Amendment, there's some small restrictions on the Second Amendment as well.
Right.
So I can't bring my gun in. I'm not bringing yours in too.
Yeah, you can't, just like you can't fly with one. There's certain places you just can't take guns.
Exactly. And
it doesn't matter where you are.
The jail is a big one, but your gun is going to be placed into the property room at the police department. You can pick it up in the morning.
Or the sheriff's department.
Yeah. They're a little slower at the sheriff's department, though, so you got to make sure you have extra time.
Speak slow so we can understand you.
Sometimes they can't. They don't have erasers for crowns, so it makes so if they make a mistake, it's going to slow them. So your gun, we're not going to leave it in a car. You shouldn't be leaving a gun in a car because your car is going to get broken into and somebody's going to take it. And then if it did get stolen from your car, you're going to complain that the police left it in your car.
Right.
And it's just like if you had $1,000 in your car, we're going to take the $1,000, give you a receipt, and then book it into property, and you can come get it in the morning because we don't want your $1,000 to get stolen from your car.
Right. Exactly. Even if the car's being towed, you're still going to do that. You do the inventory search on the tow because you want to make sure you list anything of any kind of value. And if it's significant value, you're going to book it separately from the vehicle.
And the biggest way that this can be avoided is
don't drink and drive while armed.
Exactly.
I would also
don't drink and drive, period.
Right. There's that. Yeah. And actually, yeah, that's a huge thing for me. I hate drunk drivers, but I would say just don't, if you're drinking and getting drunk, whether you're driving or not, don't have a gun around because people that are drunk tend to do dumb shit. And if you've got a gun, you might do dumb shit with a gun. One of the few times I actually felt sort of bad about taking a gun from a guy when I was working. Some drunk moron who had a drinking problem. He was at home sitting there playing with his shotgun in the front room when a solicitor rang his friggin' doorbell. And so he answered the gun with the shotgun, and when he opened the door, they started trying to sell him stuff. He starts playing with a shotgun, and according to them, he pointed it at them. They didn't want to file a report. They just wanted the cops to talk to the dude. But when I got there, he's out in his front yard drunk, so he ended up going to jail for drunk in public. And he had the gun in the front yard with him. So the gun went to jail as well.
The gun is part of the crime in that call.
Right, which it was a misdemeanor 417, so they didn't want to press charges, so we didn't hook him on it. But we did take the gun for safekeeping just because he's drunk and I didn't have any place to secure it.
So 417, for those that don't know, is brandishing a firearm. But that gun, I mean, safekeeping. I mean, you could have taken it as evidence too. I mean, it is.
I could, yeah, exactly.
You actually did him a favor.
I did
by taking it as safekeeping because he can get it back in the morning.
Yeah, well. With us, it's going to be it's about a week just because our station is totally separate location from our property warehouse. And then he still has to get an order from the judge to release the property. On that one, he won't. It's just safekeeping, but he still has to go out to the property warehouse and bring proof of ownership with it.
Yeah.
So it's probably a week turnaround time.
But he's getting it back because if it was evidence, he wouldn't get it back.
Right. Exactly.
They would keep it. All right. So we hammered that. Don't drive drunk while armed. Don't drive drunk, period. Don't be
drunk while armed.
Don't beat your wife.
What?
Or don't beat your husband. It goes both ways.
I was like, come on, man. What happens if my wife beats me?
Look, number one, that's just dumb. Beating on your spouse. Okay? Like, get a divorce if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
Avoid the whole thing. All right? But regardless, if you committed domestic violence and you threatened that person that you were going to shoot them, guaranteed your guns are going to get taken away from you.
Right. Because then it's now evidence of the criminal threats.
Again, it's an implement of the crime, and implements of the crime always get seized as evidence. If you said you were going to stab her to death, we'd take the knife. If you said you were going to beat her with a baseball bat, we'd take the baseball bat. Here, you're threatening, you beat her, and then you say you're going to shoot and kill her because if nobody can have you, or if I can't have you, then nobody can have you. And then you threaten that, we're going to take the gun. Okay?
Right. Well, and then, from both of us having been former California cops, California law also requires us to take the gun if you are in a domestic situation, even if the gun wasn't involved.
Yeah, you got to go back, get a search warrant, and do all that. And I got to tell you, the reason why that is occurring is because people have taken all discretion away from the cops.
Yep.
So the cops used to have discretion. We can choose to tow a car or not tow a car, take something as evidence, not take it as evidence. But because people were upset and felt the cops shouldn't be able to make a decision on the street, they just do a blanket across.
And the odd thing, at least for me, I always found it odd, was the law doesn't give a crap if it's the victim's gun or the suspect's gun in a DV. So if I show up and the woman got her ass beat by the dude, but she has a concealed carry permit and has a gun in her purse, the law requires me to take her gun away from her, even though she could be using that to protect herself from the suspect.
But you never did that.
Absolutely makes no sense.
I never did that. Did you?
No. Well, I never did personally, but I was at a scene where that happened one time because a supervisor showed up and made people do it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no. Hey, I don't, you know, if you don't want me to take your gun, I don't know you have it.
Exactly. I can tell you I've ignored a lot like that because I just don't agree with it.
Yeah, why disarm the victim?
Yeah, you don't. So,
well, they can go get a restraining order, and that piece of paper will keep them safe, though.
Yeah.
Sorry, tangent.
Yeah, no, that's okay. The other thing is when you get your gun taken from you because of domestic violence, you're not going to get it back right away. You're going to have to go before a judge. And you didn't get red flag. That's not a red flag law. That is straight up, you beat somebody and they're taking away implements that you can harm them further, because studies have shown that domestic violence often ends up becoming much worse. The big cornerstone in this is that you get judicial review to get your gun back. And judicial review is a cornerstone in the Constitution, right? So it's not a violation of your Second Amendment right. You know, well,
it's not being taken away for no reason also. There's a reason it was taken.
Exactly.
That's because you used it in the commission of a crime. Whether you actually shot somebody or just threatened them. Threatening to shoot someone is a crime.
Yeah. And it's an implement of the crime.
Right.
And it goes back to that. A majority of the time that the guns are taken is because it is evidence of the crime, and all evidence has to be taken, period. The Second Amendment doesn't keep you from that, right?
Correct. At least not in my understanding.
What's that?
At least not from anything I've read.
Yeah. And so you're going to get judicial review. The judge is going to decide what's going to happen with all that. And if you really fucked up, you're not going to get it back.
Yeah.
If you really, really fucked up, you're not going to have guns for the rest of your life. You know, so the big thing there, if you want to avoid all of it, don't beat your wife or your husband.
Right.
All right. Next up, the third big reason why guns are taken from people: don't threaten to shoot yourself. If you tell somebody, I'm going to shoot myself, and the cops show up and you have a gun and you threaten to shoot yourself, the gun's going to be taken because we don't want you to shoot yourself with the gun.
Right. Yes.
Kind of a common sense thing there, right? Okay.
Yeah. And society demands that we protect you from yourself.
Yes. Exactly.
So yes, technically that one's not a crime.
It's not.
But it is one of those things that we are required because of society has deemed that it's the cop's job to protect people from themselves in that particular instance in a suicide threat. And you're like, if it was I'm going to cut my throat with this knife, they're going to take the knife. They're also going to take you.
Now it's not a law, but it is codified. It is written in code that the police need to take you into protective custody if you're a danger to yourself, a danger to others, or gravely disabled. If you're threatening to shoot yourself, you meet the first criteria. You're a danger to yourself.
Right. It's not a criminal violation.
No.
Right. Yeah, no, just to kind of clarify on what you said there. I mean, it's in California, it falls under the Welfare and Institutions Code. Yes. So it is a code, a law, but it's not a criminal law. It's not, you're not being arrested.
Yeah. And
which you always have to explain to the people when you actually take them in too. At least you're required by law to explain that to them. They're not under arrest. You're just being detained because you're a danger to yourself.
And since I've retired, I've had 2 friends kill themselves, both retirees. And in one instance, it was a very good friend of mine. We went to the academy together, and he rose through the ranks and actually achieved a pretty big job high up. He ended up killing himself 2 months after retiring, and he shot himself. And if I knew he was missing, if I had found him and he was armed, I would have taken his gun because I know what's going to happen.
Right.
Shoot himself. And Matt, you and I have both been to a ton of suicides, more than we ever want to ever keep thinking about. And some haunt.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Keith.
I know. Sorry, man.
No, it's all good, dude.
We need to stop and have a whiskey while we talk. But this is an important subject, right?
Me and whiskey is not a good idea.
I know. It is an important subject, and I bring it up because if you need help, don't be afraid about losing your guns. There's a smart way to do it and a not smart way to do it.
Right.
So if you need help because
seek help voluntarily.
If you have suicidal ideation, you need to go get help. And the best way to do that is go see somebody right now. And your guns aren't going to get taken away just because you go talk to somebody. The magic marker for everybody is, I feel like killing myself right now. I'm going to shoot myself. Guaranteed that's going to harm your ability to have guns. We don't want that to happen. Okay. We want you to, personally, I want you to be able to keep your guns, right? So if you need help, voluntarily go get help, go seek help, go find the help you need. They're not going to come take your guns like that. It doesn't work like that. Go see the person you're seeing, go seek the help you need, and find the resolution you need. But if your call for help is you call your wife and say, I'm going to blow my fucking brains out because you're going to show her, right? Then that's not going to help you at all.
Nope. And like you said, I mean, we've both lost friends to suicide. And I thank God a friend of mine is still alive, but he had attempted. And he has since sought help, and he's not having issues like he was back then. Because of his background as a cop, and he's a gun nut just like you and I are.
Gun enthusiast.
Gun enthusiast, excuse me, yes. A gun aficionado. He did not want to lose his firearm, so that was a big concern for him. And so, when are we required to take them? Is after you've been found by a court to be not able to take care of yourself. So go get help voluntarily. Don't let it get to that point.
Exactly.
If you seek help voluntarily, no one's going to take your guns. And if they do, it's going to be temporary.
Exactly. Everything will be okay. I've seen plenty of cops that have called for help that didn't lose their job, didn't lose their guns, and still sought help, got help, and everything was fine. So don't freak out about that. You just do it the right way. Don't be a drama queen, right?
And for the love of God, seek help.
Absolutely.
Talk to somebody.
Anybody.
Yep.
All right. Next up. Don't do a gang-related drive-by. In fact, don't do
drive-bys in general.
don't do any crime while you're armed. Right. So this brings like number 4, the biggest reason why we're going to take your gun, because you committed a crime while you're armed. Again, it's an implement of the crime. If you had a knife and you robbed somebody at knife point, then we're going to take the knife. If you had a bat and you hit somebody over the head with a bat, we're going to take the bat. You have a gun and you do a drive-by shooting, we're taking your gun.
If the car was used as the weapon, we're going to take the car.
Exactly. And just so you know, we're going to do a search warrant of your house probably, and then go back to your house and then go get everything else at your house that might be an implement to the crime. Diaries, things that you wrote, whatever. The way to avoid this, don't commit crimes.
Don't be a criminal.
Yeah. You deserve to get your shit stolen or shit taken. But anyways, all right.
Why do you keep talking about shit when you're talking about like prison time? I don't understand.
All right. Hold on. Don't
regain composure.
I'm trying to. All right. This one, so we put out a social media post and we asked, what are the biggest reasons why you have taken somebody's gun? And it was all mental health, domestic violence, drunk driving, involved in a crime, stuff like that. We got an unusual one, and I loved it because it's going to show you what cops do every day to protect your Second Amendment. A person that was a law enforcement officer in California, which in California, short-barreled rifles, a rifle with less than 16-inch barrel, is totally illegal. We don't allow NFA items in our state because they're all run by communists.
The only only entities that can have them are law enforcement agencies and the military.
Yep. And that's why we moved to Idaho so we can have NFA items, which I have a whole bunch now.
No, you don't. You don't have any. You went fishing.
No, I actually have stamps.
That's true. Yeah, they know you have those. Never mind.
The man can track
Sadly,
me
my
down.
Scorpion fell off the boat yesterday.
Oh, there you go. All right. So don't leave your SBR in the motel room in California. So here, one of the officers, he messaged us because he just wanted to tell it, and it was a hilarious story. There was a salesman for a very big weapons manufacturer that we all love their guns. And I won't say who it is because I don't want the guy to get fired, because I'm sure nobody knows. And I'm sure all the gun industry people are right now, was that you? Was that you? Right? The cops get called because they found a short-barreled rifle in a motel room. They go out there, found that this guy had checked out, and sure enough, there's this beautiful SBR. It was a 7-inch AR-15 SBR that was left behind.
Was it like an LE demo gun, I'm assuming?
No.
Okay, so it was his personal rifle.
It was, well, no, actually it might have been a work gun, but it wasn't. I don't know. I don't think they were demoing it. I think it was like, I'm just traveling through kind of a thing.
Okay.
But it still belongs to the company, and they have their SOT and all that, right? Just because you have an SOT coming into California doesn't help you. I have an SOT. I can't go to California with a bunch of silencers and machine guns. So the officer call him up. Hey, we got this rifle. Is it yours? Yeah, it's mine. Well, come on down. And they figure out that this guy's a manufacturer, blah, blah, blah. And so they're like, hey, you just need to take this and run and get back to wherever state you came from so you don't get in trouble. And by the way, we're saving you. And it did save him a lot of trouble. So cops are out there ignoring a lot of stuff for you.
I encountered people from out of state all the time who had guns that were not legal in California, and they didn't realize it because they're just traveling through. And had it been somebody who was I'm going to follow every rule in the book thing, they would have gone to jail. And
you got to be wary. I mean, like most cops in California ignore a lot of stuff, but you have a whole generation of cops now that grew up under gun control and don't know any better.
Right.
So you do got to be careful. I'll give you an example. I was in a very red county in California, and we had brought an MP5 with us, and we were shooting full auto, and then a deputy rolled up. Totally lawful for us to have it at the time, but we didn't say we were cops. We wanted to see what was going to happen. And the guy walks up and he goes, "Hey, we heard there was full auto fire up here." And we're like, "Oh, well," and he's like, "Hey, that's all good. Probably the better place to shoot is down here where people aren't going to come and complain." And we laughed our asses off because, we know what the call he got. He didn't care. He was just full on like, "You boys have a good time. Just move on down a little bit." So even though that stuff's illegal in California, look, man, if you're not committing a crime and you're just doing your thing, a lot of cops just would be like, "Yeah, no worries, man. Just go about your business. Just be smart so we don't get calls."
Right? Yeah, like I've said many times, unless you're jacking the 7-Eleven, I don't care that you have the gun.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is, man. All right, we're going to round this up with our last one, which
round it up or wrap it up.
What's that?
Round it up or wrap it up?
Wrap it up.
Are we doing math here?
Oh God, no. All right. I feel miserably.
I'm an ass.
All right. The last one, don't poach. If you're poaching deer off season in a place you're not supposed to be, and you get one and you get caught, your guns are going to be taken because.
Hey Keith, hang on a second here. I'm not a hunter, but can you clue me in? Is poaching out of season, is that a crime?
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, so that would be don't commit a crime with a gun.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
Right? And if you're a hunter, like me, you hate poachers more than anything. So if you are out poaching or doing something like trespassing on somebody's land to go get a deer or an elk or whatever you're doing, your gun's going to get taken. Don't cry. You screwed up. Take it like a man and go about your business. And you're probably not going to get it back. And you know what? You shouldn't go out and poach. So
take it like a man. Back to that whole shit prison conversation.
There you go. So the key here, everything here involved a crime. If you don't commit crime, you're good to go. The only one that isn't a crime is the suicidal person. In there, I think we've given you enough clues. Just find a better way of doing it. Don't come out and say, "I'm going to shoot myself" to your wife or to some random person. go call somebody for help and then go seek professional help. Just because you seek professional help doesn't mean they're going to take your guns. You're good.
And feel free to lie to the shrink and tell them you don't own any guns. I'm totally good with that. A lot of shrinks are not real fans of firearms, and so they might. Yeah. And I've had them call us before and say, "Hey, this guy owns guns," and we're like, "Yeah, good for him."
And I've seen plenty of people that are going through crisis that have guns in their lives that don't use them and don't get them taken.
Yes, correct.
So don't freak out. Everybody, I hear a lot of cops say they won't seek help because they don't want to lose their job and they don't want to lose their guns. And that's the worst thing you can do. So you can still do it. You just have to be smart about it. You just go, for us in our department, we had guys that didn't lose their guns and didn't lose their job. They just went and saw the shrink and started the process of trying to get better. So just be smart. Don't be dumb.
Yep.
That's it. That's all we got. Matt, you got anything else for him?
Nothing off the top of my head.
Awesome. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. Don't forget to share
positive reviews.
And yes, only positive reviews, please. If it's a negative review, don't bother.
If you don't like us, go away.
There's people on our YouTube channel already. I hate the cops. Fuck them. Thumbs down, right? All that stuff helps us get our message out. So if you rate it, like it, subscribe, it makes so people can see us more. Head over to our YouTube channel. We're working on videos right now. We got a couple up there. Follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube. That helps us as well. You can sign up for our newsletter at 2A Cops. If you just go to 2acops.com, a little pop-up's going to show up. You can fill out your information there. We don't share your info at all. It just stays with us, and we send you an email like once a week, once every 2 weeks, depending on how much articles we write, detailing what we've written. So you can read
I don't know if that car warranty place pays me enough money, I might sell the list.
There's some great memes coming out of the Capitol protest with the car warranty thing.
I haven't seen those yet.
Oh God!
I just got one of those calls earlier today. That's why it made me think of that.
Oh, dude, they send me emails constantly. We won't do that to you. We feel your pain. So
yeah,
that's all we've got for now. Have a safe week. Take care of yourselves, and that's it. Take care. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to and rate 2A Cops on your favorite podcast service. You can subscribe to our newsletter and get current 2A news at 2acops.com. If you have any questions you want answered on the podcast, email us at podcast@2acops.com.